Sweet, there we go, we're recording. All right, great. I'm going to screen share because I do have some slides. There we go. Can everybody see that? Yep. All right. So overcoming obstacles with consistency. There was something that I was struggling with really, really bad the last couple of months. It just seemed like everything in my business was an obstacle. It wasn't fun anymore. It was just challenging. So I decided that that had to change. So a little bit of my backstory. Um, my sister, Lindsay Stay, you guys may know her. She's an elite coach. She got into this business about 4 years ago. And of course, me being her sister, she came to me right off and was like, I had this amazing opportunity. You have to do it with me. I'm going to make $1 million in a year. And it was like, okay, no. And she just could not believe that I didn't want any part of this. Like, she was going to make $1 million. Like, why don't you want to do this with me? Well, the thing was, I'd gone to college. I was an x-ray tech. I had a degree. I, had a family, I have a nice house. We have, vehicles, and, it just didn't fit into my life at all. I was doing the things that, I was supposed to be doing. I didn't need to start a business with Beachbody. It just didn't make any sense for me. But she never gave up. She kept on and she kept on. She had me signed as a discount coach. She had me drinking Shakeology. I was listening to national wake-up calls, and most of the time I was on the Bombshell Dynasty calls on Monday night. Wanted nothing to do with this business at all, period. And she would call me after each one of those calls and go, what did you think? And I was like, it sounds great, but it's not for me. I don't want anything to do with it. And that was the truth. I really didn't. I would tell my mom, it was like, I hate when she calls because all she talks to me about is Beachbody. It's never, how are you? It's never, any of those things. It's always Beachbody. Like, it was to the point to where I wouldn't answer the phone because I was tired of hearing about it. And it stayed that way for over a year. I watched her go and meet Chalene Johnson and have dinner with Chalene Johnson, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I watched her go to Vegas to Summit, and I was like, that's really cool. And then she got sent to Disney for a Success Club trip, and it was like, man, she's going and doing all these fun things, and that's great for her. But I still wanted nothing to do with the business. I was going through a pretty rough time in my life. My marriage was struggling. I was having issues with alcohol, which was affecting me as a parent, which was affecting me as a wife, which was affecting my job. And I found myself in just a really low place in my life. So much so that I ended up getting fired from my job. So, if you follow me on Facebook, you see who I am. Well, that's who I used to be. I was the party girl. I was the girl who went out and had fun and, drank, and, I always had a smile on my face, and my nickname was Glow Stick because when I walked in the room, I lit it up, things like that. But what people didn't know is I was so broken on the inside. I was so unhappy with who I was. I was that negative, that negative person that you never want to see on Facebook that starts every post with, and they always have something to say about somebody, and they're never happy with whatever the situation is. That was me. I was miserable. I was miserable in myself so much that, I drank every night, and I was relaxing after work, and I cried all the time in front of my kids, and it got to a point to where I was self-sabotaging all of the good because I didn't think I was worth enough to have it. So a lot of things happened, and I ended up getting in trouble at work for an alcohol-related offense, and I lost my job at UAB. Like I said, I was an x-ray tech. I was the clinical instructor. I was the fluoro instructor. I was the lead tech. You know, I had put myself in a position at that hospital to where I was the center of our department. So when I got fired for alcohol offenses, it was pretty shocking and pretty devastating. So there I was, fired. A week later, I found I was pregnant. My marriage was barely hanging on by a thread. And that just fueled all of my insecurities and all of my thoughts of, you know, worthlessness. Here I am, you know, I've let all of these bad things destroy, you know, what good I had left. And now what? I lost our insurance. I lost half of our income. You know, I'm pregnant. I can't go out and get another x-ray job. No one's going to hire me, especially being fired from UAB for alcohol. And I was just really sad. I really don't have any other words but sad. And Lindsay called, and I answered that day, and I just broke down, and I said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You know, if we get divorced, he'll take the kids. He'll have every right to, you know. I'm pregnant with this baby, and, you know, just broke down. And she listened, and she let me cry. And then she very quietly said, you could work your business. And immediately I was angry. I was so angry. I was like, how is she going to pitch this stupid thing to me when I'm at the lowest point in my life? How is she going to, like, try and, you know, get me to do this thing that she does, you know? But I don't know what it was inside of me that day, but there was a voice that said, what do you have to lose? And so I got off the phone with her, and we flew down there. It was December. We flew down there to spend Christmas, and she lives in Florida. And we talked about it, and my husband and I just said, you know, what do we have to do? And we talked, and I said, give me a year. Give me a year. And he said, okay. We really did not have the money for me to continue my Shakeology or coaching fees. So we got this credit card, and we just started charging all Beachbody stuff to this credit card. And I said, I'm going to go all in. All right. So how did I go from her to her? Starting out this business, I already had this huge obstacle in front of me. A, I'm pregnant. Like, really? You're going to start a health and fitness business pregnant? B, you're that girl. Like, all Facebook knew me was that girl, and then I also had an x-ray job and some kids. Like, I actually pulled that. I was tagged in that picture. It's actually still on my Facebook. I decided to leave it there. But anyway, you know, I knew that I had to change who I was in order for me to move forward. So I started this business with this huge obstacle. I was a smoker. I've been a smoker since I was 14. You know, I was an alcoholic. I had rehab under my belt. I, you know, just been fired from my job. I was pregnant. I liked soda and fast food. And, you know, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And how was anybody going to listen to me? And who in their right mind would want me as their coach? So I just started asking, you know, what do I do? If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to overcome this obstacle, what do I need to do? And she gave me a list of 10 things. Let's see if I can move on. Lindsay gave me a list of 10 things, and she said, I need you to do these 10 things consistently for a year. And 10 things seemed okay. I can do 10 things. 10 things every day, I can do that. I'll share this list so that you guys can have it, but real quick, I'm going to go through it. The first 3, you know, be a product of the product. That doesn't mean that you have to know every single thing there is to know about the product. It doesn't mean that, you know, you have to do every product out there. All it means is that you are sharing your story of how this product is helping you. That's it. That's step one. Like, you are the face of your business. Invite. I like to say invite, share, invite, because I feel like more of what we do is share our story rather than just inviting people. I feel like the sharing part is more critical than the actual invite, because you can invite someone to what you're doing, but if you're not sharing what you're doing, how do they know what they're being invited to? Number 3, personal development. So crucial. And I know that the whole first year of my business, I struggled through personal development. It was said to me that if you are not doing personal development, you are lethally injecting your business. And for some reason, that stuck. I don't know if it was just the words lethal injection, but it did. It stuck. And that's when I finally picked up the right book. I tried so many personal development books, and I was not a reader, and that was an obstacle. And I said that personal development wasn't for me, but it wasn't that it wasn't for me. I just wasn't reading the right book. Listen to the national wake-up calls and the team calls. Like, thank you all for being on this team call. They're so, so important. The national wake-up calls also, that's that one little thing that just kind of fills you up every day. And you're going to hear, or every week, and you're going to hear that one thing that you need to hear on those calls. Run monthly challenge groups. I have run a challenge group every single month that I have been a coach since December 2012. Some months I've run 2, some months I've run 3, but there is not a single month that has gone by that I have not had a challenge group from day one, starting this business. And when I started this business, I just went head in as a coach. I was never a challenger in any of my sister's challenge groups. I had no idea what a challenge group was. But I started that December. I started my very first challenge group. Check into your team page. Congratulate people when there's rank advancements. Be engaged in your team, because this team is going to be there for you. They're going to support you. They're going to love you. When you feel like you're at the worst and you're the biggest failure, they're going to be the first people to go, you know what? No, you're not. You can keep going. So the more you're engaged with your team, the more it's a family, the more support you get, the better that you'll be able to keep moving forward. Answer messages and follow up. They say that, I had it till I started saying it. The something is in the follow up. The pudding? I don't know. Anyway, follow up with your messages. We can invite, but if you forget to get back with that person, then it's like the whole invite was for naught, and then you've kind of lost a little bit of your clout there. I can tell you so many times I've gone back through my messenger and it's like, oh my God, I told her I would call and I totally forgot to call. Well, then by the time you call, it's like, well, you've already, you missed that opportunity. So be on top of your follow-ups, be on top of your messages. Post inspirational and engaging things on Facebook. One of the things that my sister drilled into my head was, you've got to clean up your Facebook. If you go out and have drinks with friends, that's fine, but no more of these kinds of pictures. It's okay to have political views and religious views and, talk about what's going on in the world, but remember that not everyone is going to agree with you. So trying to separate business and personal on your Facebook becomes kind of iffy when you're using your Facebook page as a business page. So I mostly stick to inspirational things or engaging things that fit into my 5, the 5 things that are about me. Yes, I have opinions about what's going on in this world. How could I not? I'm a mother. I'm, an American. But my Facebook page is my business page, and it's not a place for me to share those things. So post inspirational, engaging things on your Facebook 3 to 5 times a day if you can. 9, check into your office for news and updates, leads, and learning. I feel like the Coach Online office is one of the least utilized tools that we have. I think that people expect your coach to provide you with a lot of the answers when they're right there for you in your online office. I check the news and updates every day. I go in and see what's going on. I check to see if I have leads and I email them. I dig around and just see what's new. They are ever changing and ever updating and growing that office, and it's there for you to use. So just go in there, click on something you never clicked on before, dig around. It always helps to grow. And number 10, keep a contact list. I have the same little rickety notebook from 3 years ago that I'm still writing down names in, and I'm still marking people on and off. A contact list is key. As your business grows, you're going to be meeting so many people, and you get friend requests from everybody, and it's like, is that a coach? Who? I don't even know who that person is. Keeping that contact list is the best way to keep in contact with your prospects and your people. No one ever leaves your list until they become a coach or a challenger. That's the only way they ever get off my list. I don't care what company they sign up with, they stay on my list. So those are the 10 things. Those are the 10 things that I started doing from day one. Those are still the 10 things that I do each day. That's my power hour every single day. So here we go. Okay. So as I started listening to the National Wake Up Calls, and I started watching the videos from some of the top coaches on YouTube and following some of the top coaches on Facebook, I noticed that the biggest thing that stuck out and the word that was used the most was consistency. I knew that if I was going to change my image, I was going to have to consistently share everything that I was doing on a regular basis. If I wanted people to take me seriously as a coach, I had to show, what I was eating, the changes I was making, how I was growing as a person, and start to overcome some of the obstacles that I had already built up for myself with that, would break me down as a coach. Like, what does she know about health and fitness? Or, how is she going to all of a sudden be a healthy eater? Things like that. By consistently showing my changes, by consistently inviting, by consistently sharing everything that I was doing, the changes I was making with myself, how I implement personal development, by sharing those things, I was able to build up my name as a coach. And it's surprising how many people relate to what you're doing and how many people want what you're doing but are afraid to say it and are afraid to do it themselves. So, all right. This is something else that was extremely important for me, is consistency is not to be confused with perfection. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have time to be perfect. Like, I don't. Consistency, I love the definition versus the perfection definition. Consistency is steadfast adherence to the same principles, course, or form. That just goes back to that 10 list. Steadfast adherence to those 10 things. That's it. Like, this business is so simple that we can turn it into this big, overwhelming thing, but it's really not. It's just those 10 principles done over and over and over. Perfection. God, like, anytime that you're feeling down on yourself, look up the definition of perfection and read it to yourself, because then it's like a huge slap in the face. Like, why was I even pushing for that? The highest degree of proficiency, skill, or excellence, as in some art, a perfect embodiment or example of something. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much pressure that is? Like, that's a lot of friggin' pressure right there. I don't know anyone who can live up to that. Consistency is not perfection. Consistency just means over and over and over. It doesn't matter how you're doing it. It just matters that you're doing it. I think that we get wrapped up a lot in seeing other people's Facebook pages and their websites and their blogs and their Instagrams and their YouTubes, and she's got all these fancy videos with little pop-ups and the sounds, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't make YouTube videos. My YouTube videos aren't like that. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you're doing them. This chick over here is like PicMonkey guru, and she has all these beautiful pictures, and I'm over here on my smartphone trying to WordPress something. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're getting your story out consistently. You're building your name as a coach consistently. One of the things I think people struggle with also with consistency is that it means every single day. Like, you never miss a day posting on Facebook. Bull crap. It just means that you aren't a yo-yoer. I take every Saturday off. Like, if you check my Facebook page, it's rare that I'm posting something on Saturday. I choose not to work the weekends, and I'm okay with that because that's my family time. If I post on those days, I post. If I don't, I don't. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to show up for 2 more weeks. I'm going to be right back at it Monday or Tuesday or, whatever day works. Here we go. So obstacles suck. They do. They suck so bad. But the beauty of obstacles is that they're opportunities. I wrote down every single obstacle that I have ever come across that I could possibly think of over the last 3 years. Coaches cancel. People sign up with other coaches. Customers buy off Amazon. People are lazy and mean, and customer service screws up, and coach relations screws up, and people go on vacation. And, there's just all of these things that could possibly happen. But if nothing ever happened, what would you learn? How would you grow? Every time that there's an obstacle, instead of letting it suck the wind out of your sails or pop your balloon, take it as an opportunity to learn and to grow. Because in this business, we are here to learn and grow. Because if we're not learning and we're not growing, what are we doing? We're staying the same. And that is not what Beachbody is about. Beachbody is about becoming the best you can be so that you can help someone else be the best you they can be, or them they can be. So instead of letting obstacles derail you, take it as an opportunity to learn and grow. And how can I help people around vacations? How can I help people around the holidays? How can I help people overcome their depressions? Because that's something I struggle with. I don't like Shakeology. Whatever, get over it. Nobody likes Shakeology at first. You can help people around all of those things. People, it's their internal issues that they throw at you because they don't know how to deal with that themselves. So instead of seeing it as an obstacle against your business, look at it as a way that you can help them overcome something, help them grow, help them get stronger, help them overcome. There's a phrase that I learned when I was in rehab, and I think that it really, really speaks volumes in this business too, especially when it comes to obstacles in this business. A lot of times when you start seeing your coaches slack off and you come to them and they give you what their obstacle was, oh, well, I had 3 coaches cancel. So they quit posting for 2 weeks. And the phrase was, I'll show you, I'll hurt me. So anytime an obstacle comes and you let it derail you from your forward trajectory, from your posting, from inviting, from doing anything, when you retract back into that negativity and that fear, that's hurting you. So I'll show you, I'll hurt me. That was one of the things that I thought of last week when I was feeling so down. I was pushing for Premier, and I really didn't think that it was going to happen. And I kept coming up with all of these reasons on why it wasn't happening. And instead of pushing further out there, looking for more people, loving on my coaches, supporting my coaches, I was retracting in. I'd stopped posting. I'd stopped working out. I was, contemplating my out strategy. Like, what else? How am I going to get my X-ray license back so I can go back to work? I was letting all of that negativity feed me. So I'll show you, I'll hurt me. Instead of pushing forward, instead of supporting my team and inviting more people and growing my business, I was hurting myself by backing away from it. I hope all that makes sense. So see your obstacles as opportunities and use your consistency in those 10 things to move past them. There's not a single thing on this obstacle suck list that one of the 10 things can't overcome. So if you're constantly doing those 10, you're constantly going to bring in new coaches. So if a few coaches cancel, big deal. That's their loss. They didn't see the big picture, but you have somebody who does, and they're coming up, and you're going to love on them, and you're going to support them. Holidays come up, people fall off. That's okay, because you're consistently being a product of the product. You're consistently inviting. You're consistently bringing people in. I mean, you can go through this entire list and tag it back to one of those 10. Consistency overcomes every obstacle that's going to come your way. I've made a few posts to just kind of share me being consistent. And it goes back to consistency is not perfection. Over the last 3 years, I have gone up and down and, here and there. I've gone on vacations. I'm pregnant again. My body has changed so many times, but I have never let that derail me. Just because I wasn't constantly getting smaller or constantly building more muscle, I still shared every single step of it, every program that I did, every before picture. This isn't even the half of the before and after pictures that I have, but these are just some of the ones that I pulled out of my feed and that I shared. Same thing with inviting and personal development. Just showing that you're doing it. Use your face as your business. People buy into you way before they buy into these products. We all know that there are 18 million ways to lose weight, get healthy, gimmick, whatever. But it's not the product that these people want. It's the support. It's the encouragement. It's the leadership. It's guidance. It's you. Invite with your face. My inviting has changed so many times over the last 3 years. Like, I used to work so hard on all these little PicMonkey invitations to my challenge groups, because that was what you were supposed to be doing at the time. And it's like, I don't even invite like that anymore. I don't have to anymore. So it doesn't matter how you're inviting. Just invite, and invite with your face. Show people. Be the proof that this business works for you. Share your objections and obstacles over and over and over so that you can beat their objections and obstacles before they even bring them to you. I think that was the last one. Yeah, that was the last slide. So that's it, basically. I never know how to end a call. So yeah, overcoming your obstacles with consistency. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be you.
Yeah. So, okay. That was awesome. You had so many golden nuggets of info there. I have stars all over my little notebook here. Just like everything you said, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a normal thing. And then you keep going. I was like, star. Need to star that one. I really hope everyone took notes, because you're so on point with everything that you're saying. And it's one of the hardest things to teach a team, because it's really something you have to experience and learn from, to learn that, I think the hardest thing is when you're a first brand new coach and you're like, okay, everyone keeps saying be consistent. I'm going to be consistent. So you're posting every day, and you post every day for a week and nada. And it makes you feel like, well, it's not working. The inconsistency isn't working for me. So it's one of those things where it's just like with your fitness journey, you really have to dedicate it and just trust and know that if you just keep showing up and keep showing people that you are this person, whether they believe it or not, eventually they will come around. I mean, Courtney is 3 years in, I'm 2.5 years in. And I mean, it took both of us, years, a year at least, of every single day proving that we are still doing this. We are still here. I'm still a Beachbody coach, even though you thought I was salesy and icky and gross. But now you come into me because you want to see what I'm all about, but I had to show up every single day. So I'm so glad you went over that. And, sometimes a lot of what you said, just, you need to hear it from someone else, and you need to hear it from someone else who has a different background, a different story, a different perspective, and different struggles, but we all use this same system. No matter what our background is, we all know that those top 10 things that you listed are the top 10 things to do. It doesn't matter who you are in the company. if you're Lindsay Stay or if you're Carol Ann Moljavic, we are going to do these same 10 things every day. And if you just do it, then, you know, your business will grow. It will. You just have to trust it. And one thing you said at the very beginning when you said a little voice was just telling you, it was God all the way. That's, you know, that's him showing up saying, hello, here's your opportunity. Here's your moment. And it's having that courage to go with it, you know, to face the fear and just go with it. And I'm so happy that you shared. I knew you were going to have such a great story. So I'm going to real quickly, everyone can unmute yourselves. And if y'all have questions for Courtney,